Hi, beautiful people from outside. Welcome to Black Girl Creative. Yay! I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy to be outside. The sun on my skin after the winter being cold in my bones feels amazing. I want to talk about my shame that I feel about being an artist that doesn't want to work a 9 to 5 job. It's really isolating. There's a lot of shame that I deal with. There's a lot of shame that I deal with wanting to be an artist because your family doesn't get it. They want the best for you, but they don't get it, and they don't think that you're making the best decisions for yourself because you should just get a 9 to 5 job like everybody else, thug it out, get a little 401k, get your little nugget, and then you can be happy. And I'm going the non-traditional way where I'm choosing my happiness first and then hoping that my happiness will be profitable, will be prosperous in the end, towards the end of my life. I'm seeing what that's going to look like. And being the first person, being privileged enough to be the first person in my family not to do that, because that's not something new that we've done. I come from a family of creative people, of entrepreneurs, of artists, of creatives. But I have privileges that they may not have had at my age. I don't have kids. I don't have super, responsible things to do as an adult, as in like take care of another person. I have to take care of myself. That's a whole responsibility in itself. But as far as like, there's no child, you know what I mean? Like, so I understand the privileges that I have. And so it can make me feel guilty, and it can make me feel shame for wanting to pursue a more creative life. And so this conversation was inspired by Amy, and she goes by Inspired to Write on Instagram. And I really enjoy her writings because they're honest and they're brave and they're scary. They're scary to admit. But she says things that artists are thinking but hardly ever say because they too feel that shame. And so I'm inspired by her bravery, and I want to share my own experience, my own shame, the things that I'm working through as an artist, trying to make something for myself, I don't want to say make something of myself because I already am something, but it's hard. It's hard when you struggle with your own insecurities, your own doubts, your own beliefs, and when they're met with questions from other people who may be well-meaning. Okay, but what about this? What about your living? How are you going to survive? And you don't have answers for them. They might feel a little scared for you. But I just want to share my experiences. So here we go. I'm going to be reading from my journal. I wrote this on March 6, 2025, as an artist. As an artist, I've been afraid to admit I don't want a traditional 9 to 5 job. I've worked all the jobs, and none come close to being an artist and creative. Even at those jobs, all I'm thinking about is creating, getting back to my true joy, creating. Why do I feel such shame and fear about admitting I don't want a job? I fear people calling me lazy. They will say I don't value hard work. And what if I don't? What if I don't value hard work for the sake of working hard? What if I want to save all of my energy and all of my effort for what I actually love to put effort into? What is laziness except being unwilling to work or use energy? And that's literally the definition. Who gets to determine if I'm lazy? What if I'm just unwilling to do what kills my soul, steals my joy, and monopolizes my sacred time and energy? And that's the thing, like, even as I'm thinking about laziness, I'm not lazy when it comes to my art. I'm very passionate. I'm very dedicated to my craft. I'm whatever that is in the moment. Like, I follow inspiration, and I think that we value hard work too much. I think work shouldn't have to be hard. Work is hard in itself. Work takes effort. Work is naturally taxing. Why are we looking for work to be hard, to be harder than work already is? So the definition of laziness is being unwilling to work or use energy. And the thing is, like, I use energy for what I want to use energy for. You don't get to call me lazy because I don't want to use my energy for you or your business or your thing. Like, that's not who I am. Just because I want to reclaim my energy and time and try to figure out life for myself in my own way does not mean that I am lazy. And I think that we are often told that we're lazy because they want to control us. They want to monopolize our time and our energy. They want to monopolize our creativity. They want us to funnel our creativity to them. They don't want us to use or have anything for ourselves. I think about my enslaved ancestors and how all their labor went towards working fields that they couldn't eat from, right? And so they, after working hard, often had to create their own crops, their own, like planting food at night, because they gave all their effort and energy to someone who says that they own them. They don't. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do that anymore. in some way that feels like protest, that feels like resistance to say, I'm going to give myself my time first, and then whatever I have left over, then I'll give to someone else. Then I'll give to a corporation. Then I'll give to another venture. But I find it revolutionary to be able to be in this place in my life where I'm choosing where I want to put my energy and my effort. And my people before me gave me that opportunity and that privilege. So I want to honor them because I'm doing what they could not do, what they allowed me to be able to do. So yes. Hi, little, I don't know what you are, but hello. Okay. I fear that people will call me entitled, as if I'm not allowed to choose joy before enduring suffering. It's like before they can accept your smile, they need to see that you've bled first. So I wrote down the definition of entitled because I'm afraid of being called entitled. And the definition says, believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges and special treatment. And I said, there it is. The world believes that I need to ask their permission. They think I am not allowed to be the authority in my own life. And I've spent my entire life begging for permission to finally be an artist. I've more than paid my due. I've more than suffered long. I did all the right things. Permission never came. So I did all the right things. I got the job. I first started working at 16. I would work overtime. At 16, I had 3 jobs. Like, I was doing all the things. I made all the good grades. I did all the stuff. And nobody ever gave me permission to be an artist. There was always something more to do. Even though I qualified, I had all the good grades. I proved to everyone that I'm not lazy, that I'm a trustworthy person. They still taught me that my creativity and my art and my dreams are not trustworthy, that I am not trustworthy. And so I have to default to other people to get permission to create. Hold on, people are walking. Give me a sec. Okay, and we're back. We had some visitors, some people trekking the path, and I didn't want to get them on camera. Okay, so I said my wish is that every artist gets to make their own art that they want to bring into this world, no exceptions. There are unfulfilled dreams dying behind cash registers, dreams spilling over into your food from your waiter. I remember going into the walk-in at Applebee's to record ideas for songs and stories in my phone. So I used to serve at Applebee's, and they would have a walk-in freezer. And so in that freezer and refrigerator, in that freezer and fridge, there was, like cold vegetables, frozen things that need to be frozen. And so I would walk in there during my shift to write down ideas that I have. So like ideas for songs, I would record into my phone. Writing, I would write on receipt paper. I would find time in those nooks and crannies to try to create. Like I was still creating even at work because I was always inspired. Inspiration was always coming, but I was always busy because I'm working. And so I couldn't really flesh out the ideas. And then by the time I get home, I'm tired. And I think about all the other artists out there who aren't able to take the chance on themselves because of money, because of capitalism. Like there's so much art that we are never going to be able to see or experience or witness or be healed by because of capitalism. Because people don't think that artists are real or legit, and that they don't get to experience the fulfillment of having their dreams fulfilled like everybody else. I think about people who are like doctors and lawyers and all this other stuff, people who actually want to do what they're doing, right? Because I also understand that people are pushed in that direction by family or friends or peers or, teachers or whatever. They see the potential and then you can go far. You're a smart person, so do this thing. And I think about like how nobody says to other people how silly it is to pursue a career in lawyering, and we could talk about what's practical and what's not and what's needed. Like artists need lawyers, obviously, right? But like nobody says to a lawyer that, oh, you want to be an artist lawyer? That's silly. I don't know, actually. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe they do. I don't know. But like nobody that I've heard has said that. They hear lawyer and they say, oh, good. You're good. Why does somebody get to litigate for me, but I don't get to create? Why do artists, lawyers get to exist? People who read the contract so the artists aren't being taken advantage of, right? Sadly, that has to be a thing. We can't just write things in normal, plain language. Anyway, but they get to pursue their dream. Why don't I get to pursue mine? If there is a space, if we need doctors and teachers and lawyers, we need artists. We need artists just as bad. Okay. So the question I ask myself is, why is it revolutionary? Why is it a revolutionary idea that an artist only wants to spend their lives making art? Why is that revolutionary? Why is that so triggering to some and scary to admit for others? I recognize that many people hate their jobs too. They might not admit it, but they want to leave and pursue their dreams as well. So many people are in drudgerous jobs. A lot of us are only working, A lot of us are only working at those places because we have to, not because we want to. We are just trying to survive. When we see someone going for it, we may say, well, what makes them so special? Why do they get to be an artist and I don't? Why do they get to be happy while I suffer? So people will ask you, what makes you think you're so special? I will say, the same thing that knows you're special too. The same mechanism that tells me that you are just as special as I am, that you should be free too. And I think that's the thing. It's like people play like the zero-sum game that because of scarcity and because of where we live, people have made things scarce. They're not scarce. They have made them artificially scarce, right? So we end up fighting each other and seeing someone else winning. And we say, well, if that person wins, that means that I can't win either. Or we say like, oh, if that person is just like me. We see the likeness in each other. And instead of seeing the brilliance in them and then reflecting that back on ourselves, we say, oh, you're not that special because neither am I. That's not the answer. The answer is that we are all special and we are all surviving this impossible system. We're trying to be artists in a world that's trying to destroy artists, destroy art. When I look at, again, we think about these platforms, YouTube, Spotify podcasts, all these people underpaying artists for what they bring, their spirit, their soul. How can you put a price on that, right? They're being undervalued. It's not that they're not valuable, they're being undervalued. And so we see someone else getting free. And then we say, oh, well, she's not that special. Who does she think she is? And so we start to poo-poo them because we want them to come back into the trap that we are, right? Because if I can't be free, nobody else gets to be free. And so people will call this like the crab in the bucket mentality. Shout out to Marcus, my bestie. He said to me, crabs aren't supposed to be in a bucket. Or in a barrel, he said. Crabs aren't supposed to be in a barrel. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. They have grabbed all the crabs, put them in the barrel, right? And made us fight to the death. When instead we should just be trying to get out of the barrel. So I continue. My creative journey, my bravery and audacity, my taking up space will be triggering to some and inspiration to others. Some people won't care either way. I'm not living my life to please them and ask their permission to try, to grow, to believe in myself, my joy, and my gifts. Their approval would be great, but I'm not living for their approval. But why am I not entitled? Why am I not inherently deserving of treating myself as special? Who am I not to believe that I am deserving of special treatment? I am a once and a forever event. These are special circumstances, deserving special treatment. Am I not the authority in my own life? Who said being an artist had to be seen as special? We say artist like it's a big deal, as if we haven't heard songs that have saved our lives, books that completely changed us forever. We've eaten meals that have nourished our weary souls. How is art not taken seriously? So this is the thing. I think art is a big deal, but I don't think it's inherently special or as differently special as somebody who is more analytical is. I think that that's special too. I think we need people who are analytical. I think we need people who are good with numbers and who are organized in ways that many artists are not. I need that opposite. I need that other where I lack, what should I say? Not where I lack. Where I am not as gifted. Where I'm not as gifted. I'm not organized. I'm not. I try all these things to make myself organized. I'm not an organized person. It would make sense for me to partner with somebody in business or whatever in art who is. So we need both. We need two things. So just as special as the person is who is analytical, organized, type A personality is just as special as people who are messy and creative and follow their intuition, right? Like they're both important. One is not more special than the other. That was the point I'm trying to make. But yes, making art is special. Making art saves people's lives. There are songs. There is writing, literature. There are things that people have created from their mind, from their imagination that have set me free. Oh, the sun feels so good. The sun feels so good. That has set me free. That has healed me. Music is medicine. Movement is medicine. There are people who have painted things that move me. They convey a message. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how serious art is. Art literally is life and death, even though we're not literally keeping people's body alive. Art is keeping people's souls alive. And that is just as important. It's just as important. I write, so these are reasons why I've been afraid or ashamed, or both, to admit that I don't want a job, that I want to just be an artist. Number one, they don't believe I've earned the right. They believe that the cost of freedom is my joy, my health, years of my life dedicated to a cause or purpose that I don't believe in. They say I must suffer long, in their eyes, enough to break my spirit, then I can play. But there might be nothing left. That's the thing, like, just do this and then you get to create. What if I don't have anything left? Like, even as I'm talking about this, I am measuring my words because I know how it comes across. Like, oh, we all want to be artists. You don't get to be an artist. Like, I hear it. I hear the pushback. I hear the frustration. And same, I'm frustrated that you can't create either. I'm frustrated that it is seen as special to pursue your creative gifts and your creative calling, right? But like, I think one of the things that keep me sober and grounded is that I don't know what tomorrow brings, and not to be, super down, but like, let's be real. I live in a body and I love my body. My body loves me. My body literally exists to keep me alive and to love me well. But I also know that my time on this earth is finite. I don't know when my time is. I hope it's no time soon. But a lot of us, like, we all have a time and we don't know what the time is. And I don't want to spend my life dedicating my precious breath, sacred hours, energy, effort into something I don't believe in, into something that wants to rob me of what is due me, as in like underpay me. I don't want to give my life to systems that seek to destroy me. Because I fear that if I give them myself, the best of myself, just think about that. Like, even the time that we work, I'm most creative in the morning. Working a 9-to-5 job, I can't be creative because all my morning time is given to these corporations. And so then when I get home, I'm hoping that I have enough time and energy to do what I want to do. And then I'm supposed to squeeze in time with my loved ones, time with myself, time for leisure and relaxation and creativity. I've done it. It's been done. But it's been done in spite of. You feel me? I think I'm starting to get allergies. I don't know what's going on. But my creation back in the day was done in spite of whatever. I don't want to do anything in spite of anything. I just want to do the thing. Why does the world make it so hard for artists just to do their thing? Because they don't want us to make art. I'm going to get to that in a second. But yes. Okay, yes. Why is the sacred act of creation being gatekept by enslavers, thieves, and cruel people? So the question again, why is the sacred act of creating being gatekept by enslavers, thieves, and cruel people? They want us to enslave our gifts for their uses. Or better yet, they'd like to exhaust us enough so we never set pen to paper. They want us so ashamed of our gifts that we trade them in for their approval, for a sense of belonging and their protection. And that's the thing, I put it in quotes because it's not really protection. What is you trading in your gift really protecting you from? Yes, like you might not, I understand. Let me be clear. Let me say this as an aside. I understand surviving. You do what you got to do to survive. I am not judging you or ridiculing you. I'm speaking in an ideal way. In a perfect world, we could X, Y, and Z, but I understand that the circumstances are not a perfect world. So both. So nuance with me here. Be nuanced with me here. There's a reason why we do it. It's not because we want to. We feel coerced. We feel forced. We feel that in order for us to be treated with respect, we must deny who we are. We got to deny what brings us alive. Like, even in this culture, one thing I really hate about this culture is that we are so ashamed of being seen happy. We're afraid of being seen like caring. It's like the least caring person wins in this culture. And it's like, no, I care a lot, actually. I care a whole lot. I'm very sensitive, very open, very honest. When I'm in the moment, I'm in the moment. I'm here. I'm a fully expressed, and I hope to become even more fully expressed. I'm a fully expressed human being. And this world is not very conducive, in the West, I should say, is not very conducive for good living, for people who feel, for people who express, for people who create. They want us to trade in our magic or our brilliance or our talent, our gifts, for their acceptance. But even being accepted by them does not protect you. It gets you closer to the people who are harming you. Right? I think about all the times that I didn't do what I know that I needed to do, that I didn't do what I wanted to do because I wanted protection, and I wasn't happy. I may have had their approval for like a little bit until the next thing came along that they wanted me to deny myself of, right? It's never enough. It's never finished, by the way. Whatever you give, they're going to ask and require more, right? But I never felt happy. I was getting their approval at the expense of myself. And myself, my being knows that. And so in a way, I'm harming myself for them. They murder your spirit, and murdering your spirit is not protection, even if they convince you otherwise. Murdering your spirit is not protection, even if they convince us otherwise. They believe we are indentured servants, paying off our past sins, working to be free. We are not born free. We are born with the burden of having to become free. You know, this country talk about like, oh, the pursuit of happiness and freedom. We're not free. We have to earn freedom here. And freedom to do what you want, freedom to be who you are, freedom to express yourself as you want to express yourself. We're not free. We are born with the burden of having to become free. And to become free, you got to get clever. I think about my enslaved ancestors and all the ways that they got free. Some of them got free through leaving, expiring. Some of them got free, right, and freed their children by the same way, right? Some people got free by holding their head and holding their tongue and putting their head down and working until they passed. Some people got free by running. Some people got free by mailing themselves. Some people got free by boat. Some people were led of spirit. Some people were taken by somebody else. Like, my ancestors got free. They had the burden of becoming free, and they got free by any means necessary, and none of those ways are wrong. I think about, and like, I really want to write something about this, but I honor my ancestors that stayed, that did not leave, that did not run, that stayed behind and took care of their people, you know, who stayed, and that was their way of surviving. And so I think that, like, even if you're an artist and you can't be a full-time artist, give yourself grace. You're surviving. Like, you're surviving in an impossible system. And I keep saying that because capitalism and the way that we do things here in the West is impossible. It's delusional. It's not made for life. It's made for death. You are surviving death. You are surviving the impossible. Give yourself grace. And if you can only create in the nooks and crannies, that is also revolutionary. That is also beautiful. If you can only create in your walk-in fridge, if you can only create on receipt paper, if you can only create in the car while you're driving and delivering things, if you can only write down your ideas, that in itself is revolutionary. Do not despise where you are. It's not your fault. Do well with what you can do. If you can only write a haiku, great. Can you share it? Right? Like, if you can only write a thought, great. Or a tweet, great. If you can only sketch something, great. That works. If you can only hum something, that also counts. When we think about the people we come from, they didn't have all the equipment we had. They didn't have YouTube. But they had their voice. And that voice was used not just to make money, but also, yes, to make money, right? But also to uplift other people. I think about, again, because I'm a music history geek, and I think about my enslaved ancestors on plantations singing to bring hope, singing to keep time, singing to express themselves, singing to lament, singing to talk about the great by and by, singing about escape, singing about plans, singing, right? Using their voice. Nobody recorded that. And so one would say, like, oh, if it wasn't recorded, then it's useless. No, like, that had great use when it was sung. You know? And so I don't want you to think that just because you're not making money from your gifts or you're not a full-time artist, you're still an artist and your gift is still needed. Maybe you can write on a receipt paper a haiku and give it to one of your coworkers who's having a bad day. That is also just as beautiful and revolutionary as you being a full-time artist. It's beautiful, right? To them, you know who them are. To them, I am not inherently worthy of freedom. I have not earned the right to choice or the pursuit of happiness. They've turned art into another thing to gatekeep beauty and magic. Art is healing, and because they aren't brave enough to create, they must steal it. Keep it locked away. If they can't join us, they silence us. It's like they envy artists. People, like, there's something that, what's her name? Julia Cameron talks about in her book, The Artist's Way, the classic. And she talks about shadow artists. And these are people who don't have the bravery to be an artist themselves. So they might be like wounded artists. The geese are singing down the way. I want to make sure I'm safe. Okay. So what was I talking about? Hold on. Yes, okay, shadow artists. So shadow artists are people who may have been wounded or people who are too afraid, but they love art, and so they might become like a lawyer, like I was talking about earlier, a lawyer who looks at paperwork for singers, right? But you want to sing. You don't want to really be a lawyer. You want to sing, but you want to get as close to it with as much safety as you can. And so instead of like owning the title of artist, because a lot of stuff comes with that, they just do enough to be around it. But then I also feel like there's another category of people. These are people who are not very creative or who are not, I think everybody's creative, but I think that there are people who lean more into destruction. And I think that these people, because they cannot create or choose not to create, I should say, because they choose not to create, they then feel like they have to enslave people who do create. Because it's a magic you don't understand. It's a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's a magical process. I don't know how else to say that. Creating is a magical process that they don't understand, that they don't have the eyes for, or the heart for, or the endurance for. And so instead of actually being an artist, they have to enslave us. They have to make us feel like we have not earned the right or we're not good enough when we are literally making up their living. I'm thinking about the CEO of Spotify. The CEO of Spotify, whatever his name is, he's making millions of dollars off of the art that artists make on his platform. And he makes no art. He's a billionaire, but makes no art, makes nothing. And makes it harder for artists to make money on his platform, and which makes it harder for artists to keep making art, which is him hustling backwards, him working backwards. Because you enslave people, you don't actually appreciate the art. Because if you appreciated the art, you would appreciate the artist. You would appreciate people, humanity, people's well-being. Because you know that if people are well, they can keep creating something that I enjoy. But because you don't know how to be a humane person, a humane human, you then have to enslave it. You have to go the cheap way. You have to go the cheap way. You have to steal. Because you don't have the personality, you don't have the charisma, you don't have the know-how, you don't have the bravery to be an artist. You weaken artists to own them so that they have no choice but to be around you. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. Instead of valuing the artist so they keep creating art, they then want to wound us so we're not able to create art unless we create it for their platform by playing their game. They want to become the god of music, if that makes sense, right? And they want us to make sacrifices to them as the god of music when they don't make any music. I never knew it was allowed. I never knew it was allowed for me to be an artist. I never knew that was an option. I knew that I was talented. I knew that people liked my gift. I knew that I liked creating above all of that. It came natural. And I knew that I came from a family of creators, but I never knew that I could be an artist. I thought artist was something legit. Even saying that, right? I thought artist meant that you had to go to art school and you had to do like fine art. You had like your art had to look a certain way. You had to be making a certain amount of money to be an artist. But those are never the things that are required to be an artist. I thought that being an artist was for special, talented people, and it had to have a specific look. I never knew I was good enough, pretty enough, none of it. People think people like me are irresponsible. That's another reason why I've been ashamed. I am an artist. The most responsible thing I can do is create. I've been gifted, and my responsibility is to this gift I've been gifted. I've inherited. My responsibility is to creating and being honest and authentic. Why does the world want me to be a liar, to be loved? Why does the world want me to be a fraud, to be loved? Me creating art makes me well, makes me better, and that literally makes the world better. Me being happy makes the world better. So why don't I get to be happy? It almost feels unfair. This is another reason. It almost feels unfair. Before I even say that, creating makes me happy. And somebody says you're not allowed to create. That means that they don't want me to be happy. They don't want me to be fully expressed. I can't be who you want me to be. I can't be the CEO of whatever because that's not who I was made to be. There's already a CEO for whatever. They got that. I don't need to be in the boardroom. That's not my makeup. I don't care about none of that, right? Like that would be me being inauthentic. That would be me living a lie. That would be me being a liar. And I don't want to be a liar. I want to be honest. And I want to see what happens if I live my life bravely. If I bravely took up space and said, you know what, I don't want to do none of that, but here's what I do want to do. And here's what I feel like my spirit is moving me to do. Even if that's getting another job, because I'm not above it. But I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I will get a job because I'm going to survive. I'm not gonna starve, right? But I don't want to. And I feel like if we were honest, Most people don't want to, because like this whole setup of industry is not even natural. It's not even how we're supposed to be doing things, how we're supposed to be making and selling. It's not normal. It's not natural. The what is what I'm looking for? Immediate transactions we get, that's not even normal. Things take time, you know? So yes, so I'm going to continue reading. Another reason why I felt afraid or ashamed is because it almost feels unfair. I feel guilty that I get to create freely when others are suffering at jobs they hate. I hate it. I hate it. I hate that people have to choose. Oh, I'm not even talking to the mic. I hate that people have to choose between their honesty and their bravery and their creativity and a job. I hate that people have to choose between their happiness and a job. I hate that. I'm just being honest. I don't even have an answer for it. That's what I wrote down. It's not fair, but I didn't enslave us. I am free, and I'm hoping to be able to help free others too. And that's the thing, like, I'm using my creativity for myself. Be clear. I'm using it for myself. I'm using it for my loved ones and for people who want to listen to it, enjoy it, experience it. But I'm also hoping to free other artists. Like, my hope is to be able to teach artists what I'm learning. That's why I even have this podcast. Like, take something from my journey. I'm not there wherever there is. Like, I'm not a full-time artist. I am. I am a full-time artist. I'm not making a full-time living yet through my art yet. But as I'm learning, I'm sharing what I have, you know? And so I think that's the way that I can check with myself. Like, you don't have to feel guilty, Alicia. One, you didn't enslave anybody, and you want people to be free. And you're also, you being free frees others, right? You being a freely expressed human being frees others. Just like Amy did when she shared her thoughts about being a full-time artist, that freed me. So you creating and being free also frees others. It shows other people what's possible. And also, you can also teach other people how to be their full, authentic selves. And I think that is, beyond creativity and artistry, I think that is what's most important. Also, I wrote down to myself, not everyone hates their jobs. Some people are fulfilled and feel purposed. So if they are able to work a job and be treated with dignity and to feel purposed and to be paid well, why can't I? Why can't I? Why don't I get to experience that? People go to their place of employment every day and they're respected. Why? Is it because we take a person being hired by a corporation as permission, as our authority? We are more okay with people being hired out by others than we are of people creating their own wealth and with their own gifts. I'm stuttering, so let me reread this. We are more okay with people being hired out by others than we are of people creating their own wealth with their own gifts. Like, that don't sound weird to us? That we're more okay with people being used and underpaid than people doing their own thing with their gifts and being supported in the way that they should be supported. That's a little weird. It's a little strange. Yeah. But even getting a real job, and I put that in quotes, because y'all know how I feel about that, even getting a real job is not a guarantee that you will be respected. People are still mistreated at their places of employment. And in some cases, even the customers may disrespect them, i.e. working at McDonald's. This is from personal experience. I've worked in food industry and customer service my entire life. And there are nasty customers everywhere you go. You could be a sunshiny ball. And this is the thing. Some of that has nothing to do with you. Some people are just having a bad day and they're taking it out on you. It's still not okay, though. So the question I ask myself is, I hope y'all can hear that. Do y'all hear that bird? Hold on. If I hear it again, can you hear that? That's a woodpecker, I think. And it sounds like a laughing woodpecker. It's so cool. I really hope y'all can hear it. If not, then I'll try to put the sound on I'll try to enhance it so y'all can hear it. Either way, hello woodpecker, happy spring. Okay, so I said, what makes a real job? Is my art an expression of myself fake? Just because it's undervalued does not mean I am in the wrong place as an artist. And this is the thing about value. And I think I'm going to talk about that a little later. But this is the thing about value. Just because someone undervalues something does not mean it's not valuable. Just because your country, I'm talking to myself, just because your country values destruction and war and greed and violence, because that's where the money goes, defense, right? Air quotes, defense. because that's where our money goes. Just because my country values that does not mean that creation is has been devalued, that creation is less valuable. It's just that they don't value it. This country obviously does not value art, because why would this country value creativity and expression? Let's be serious. Why would this country value art? It should. But why would this country value art when art is revolutionary? Art changes lives. Art heals. Art shows people what is possible. Art helps people feel things that they haven't felt in a long time. And America runs really well when its citizens don't feel anything, when they're despondent, when they're depressed, when they have no hope, right? They're easy to control. They're easy to manipulate. They're easy to come up to get money out of them. Why? Like, art is so powerful that even the country you live in hates that you make stuff. That's how powerful your art is. You have to remember that we're living basically in the upside down. I did not watch the show, by the way, but everything is opposite. Everything is opposite of what it should be. And so I don't want you putting onto yourself that you're not valuable, that you're somehow less than because your country does not honor you, because your community does not honor you, or your community is too afraid for you to be free because they don't want you to fall. They don't want you to fail, you know? I'm afraid, this is another reason why I've been ashamed. I'm afraid of being caught trying what people call impossible. So I'm afraid of being caught trying what people call impossible. I'm afraid of being caught desiring something, attempting what others call naive, simple, or foolish. I'm afraid of them being right. I'm afraid of the laughter waiting for me at the bottom of the mountain if and when I fall. I'm afraid that there's a mark on me. By proclaiming I'm an artist, you put a mark on yourself. By proclaiming that you dare believe in yourself, you make yourself a target. And there's no way that I can put that. Like, that, it's true. Like, people like, oh, you think you're special, huh? I remember when I was a kid, and my family didn't mean anything by this, but it did kind of, it hurt my feelings a little bit. It made me, not hurt my feelings, it made me more shy, I think. I told my family when I was little that I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to act. And at the time, I don't know if I still want to do that. Maybe, we'll see. But my family laughed at me. Act for me right now. Do something right now, right? And I felt like because I couldn't perform something right then and there, I felt like, oh, I'll never be able to be an actress. Little things like that. Little things like that. And they didn't mean any harm by that. I think my family is a very hardworking family, and they had to fight for everything they have. And so I think for them, it was a little scary to hear that their niece wanted to be an actress or an artist, because where is the money in that, honey? And it was the 90s. Where's the money in that, right? So yes, I'm also afraid of being caught attempting something that people call impossible, or that people say that I don't deserve to have. You know, I'm afraid of, it's like they put that fear in us to be like, don't want anything, don't desire anything more for yourself, because you're going to face disappointment. And I think historically Black people have faced disappointment, to be fair. And I'm still trying, and I'm still hoping, and I'm still scared. I said disappointment and hope deferred hurts. Having a chorus join in with "I told you so" and "you were stupid to believe that someone like you could ever experience goodness" hurts. I fear failing publicly and being ridiculed for trying, for daring to believe in myself, because how silly of you to believe in yourself, little girl, right? Like, how silly, how simple. What makes you think that you're so special? I'm afraid of trying something different and it not working out. I'm afraid of all those things. I fear I look silly. Bullying when I was a kid did a number on me. Rejection sucks. Being targeted sucks. When you're not doing nothing to nobody but minding your business and trying to live a good life, and somebody attacks you just because you're minding your business and trying to live a good life, that sucks. That's scary. And I fear what I have experienced before. It's not me imagining something that has never happened. I've felt these things deeply, and I've had to work through these things. That's why I fear them. People often don't support until they see others supporting you. So that's another thing. Like, people will poo-poo you the entire time. And then when you get successful, usually that means like when you get money, then they're like, oh, well, it's viable now. Okay, it wasn't viable before. It makes you feel like, wow, so because these other people approve of me, now you approve of me. But like, you didn't really believe in me at all. You know what I mean? Okay. So people often don't support until they see others supporting you. Like, they jump on the bandwagon. They say that, oh, because you have all these followers, because you make all this money, then that means other people approve of you, and that means that I can approve of you too. They follow other people. So it's not personal. That hurts though. Then they say, I always knew you could do it. Why you ain't tell me that then when I needed it? I fear the disappointment of having hope with no proof of success. Another reason why I've been ashamed. People hear, I don't want a job, I want to be an artist, and think I'm lazy or unmotivated and useless. And I feel the most useful creating art. Why would you want me in your boardroom? I am an artist. Why would you want me in your court? I am an artist. That would be useless, unless I'm like drawing people or something. I don't know. Why can people be respected for being a teacher, a publisher, a record executive, a curator at an art museum, but not an artist? Is it that we believed, and we've been trained to believe, and conditioned to only celebrate those that exploit and not the exploited? Is it that we've been taught and conditioned to only respect careers that come with a big paycheck? Well, who determines how much you're paid? Have we, as a society, been complicit, in artists' enslavement, demanding more art from them for almost free? Spotify, YouTube, all of those places exploit artists. Instead of fighting with them for better pay so you can finally respect the artists, right? Because if money is the problem and you want them to get paid more, fight with them to get paid more. You tell them that they are entitled. How would you like me to go to your job and tell your boss to pay you less? It's the same thing. Like Spotify, and I keep going back to this because it's a real example that I'm living currently. Spotify pays streaming artists 0.004 cent tops. 0.004 cent, right, for every stream. Not even a penny. 0.004 cent every stream. They will not pay you They will not pay you unless you have 1,000 streams. It's not until, because it's unless. They will not pay you unless you have 1,000 streams. If you don't say you make 999 streams, you don't get none of that money. That money goes to bigger artists who are on their platform because they're trying to pay them to stay longer on their platform. Instead of fighting with them for better pay so you can finally respect them as artists, you tell them that they're entitled. How would you like me to go to your job and tell your boss to pay you less for more work? How would you like me to tell your boss to give your paycheck to somebody else making more money than you already? That's what's happening to your favorite artists. That's what's happening. Or maybe your favorite artist is the bigger artist getting the paycheck, then you're fine. But we're struggling down here, okay? Being a creator is a full-time job. You bring your entire life's experience to every project. It's invaluable. I am not lazy. My art, my play, and my creativity, they are a matter of life and death, and joy, and all the things in between. My wish is that all people prosper. Mathematicians, scientists, teachers, bus drivers, artists, social workers. People think paycheck equals importance, and we know that's not true. Teachers, social workers, community work is undervalued, but it doesn't make it less important. So we can understand. If you want to know, how can I say this? I really feel like, and this is a theory, I feel like if you want to know what the government is threatened by, look at who's being paid the least. If you want to look at who they're threatened by, who they hate, who they hate and who they're threatened by, look at who they're underpaying. Excuse me. Why are social workers underpaid? Why are teachers underpaid when they're the foundations? They're literally leading the next generation. They're important and they're underpaid. It's because they don't value them. And just because the states don't value them does not mean that they're not important. I hope that makes sense. Same thing with art. Same thing. Same thing with teaching, social working, all the things. Same thing. The people who are most important are underpaid for a reason. Because it's underpaid, people who work in those fields usually want to do good. They're not there for the paycheck. People who work in a lot of nonprofits that I know, they're there because they want to do good. They're not there for no pay. If they wanted pay, they would go do something else, and it depends on what nonprofit you work for, because some are very profitable. But in the DMV area, the people that I know that work in nonprofits, they don't get paid a lot of money. And so they care about their job. They care about making impact. So yes, they're not less important. They're just underpaid and undervalued and exploited. That's the word. They're not less important or less valuable. They're just exploited. That's it. So there is a possibility of this not working out, my art. I fear it all falling apart. but I'm still committed to seeing what the end will be. I don't know. I don't know what's going to come. I don't know what's going to happen 60 years from now, 100 years from now. I have no idea, but I'm excited to find out. I'm really excited to find out. There is this thing that I've been thinking about, how my life feels like a puzzle where it's not, oh, here's one piece into the next piece. That's not how my puzzle works, right? My puzzle is very much like, here's a corner, here's a middle piece, here's another corner. Like, they don't even feel connected, but as I'm living my life, the pieces will start to connect itself. And shout out to Yvonne. Oh man, where's my phone? Yvonne McBride writes, if I can find my phone, I'm gonna put the link below, but she interviewed someone on her channel and she was talking about, it was excellent, by the way, but she was talking about how she is living her life as a story instead of like, oh, here's step 1, step 2, step 3. And that feels so good to me because it makes me feel like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm not alone. There are other people living this life, living this puzzle kind of life where it feels like nothing is related. Everything is all over the place. I don't know what I'm doing. But no, when I look at it as a story, that feels so much better. Okay, so I don't want to be a passive participant in my own life. I want to see what happens if I actually try. If I actually try, there is a cost to trying, right? It's being seen trying. It's being seen imperfect. It's being seen messing up, making mistakes. Going back to square one. Oop, there's a big bird flying overhead. Cannot see, the sun's in my eyes. But like there's a cost, right? Vulnerability is the cost of trying. And I want to try. And I want to see what happens if I try. So, I think I'm special. I do think I'm special. And I know that I am. But so are you. There is space for you here. The only difference is that I am giving myself the chance the world would not give me. I had to take it for myself. Nobody gave me permission to be an artist. In fact, when I wanted to go full time, it was met with some pushback. What is the plan? And it was from people who love me, people who want the best for me, were worried about my well-being because they wanted me to be well, you know? And historically speaking, or with their experience or from what they have heard, being an artist is not profitable. And I'm learning what it means to be a profitable artist. I used to think that being an artist, a full-time artist, meant that like, oh, I only make art. I only sell things. And that's not the case. Like, that's not all I do. I teach, I speak, I sing, I write, I photograph. I do all the things. And I love it because it makes me feel like my life is mine. My life is full. And there's not pressure on one thing to find my living. I find my living through many, many different resources. Like, so this YouTube channel, for example, like my YouTube channel, my podcast doesn't really make any money anymore since Spotify took it over. But like there are other avenues through which I make, that I make money. And that took time. That took trying and failing. That took learning and learning from other people and learning what fits me. It's not the same as you just following the steps of somebody else. You got to figure out what works for you. We don't have the same feet. We don't have the same path. And so I thought that I had to do everything like everybody else until I gave myself permission to do it like me, to do it my way, Yes. So I had to give myself permission to fumble and fall and be upset and try again. Permission to go imperfectly and unsure. Permission to trust. Permission to believe in myself, even when others did not or could not. Permission to take my enthusiasm and passion as proof and as permission and as my compass. To take my art seriously. Hello, I wrote that down just now in my head. To be poor and still look and treat myself with dignity, care, and love and respect. To be rebellious. To be unruly. To be insubordinate. To be stubborn. To be confusing to others. I had to give myself permission to not use the applause of others as my guide, but my joy, my excitement, and my own voice. I gave myself permission to fail bravely, loudly, and publicly, and still love and celebrate myself. I gave myself permission to ask for money for my art. That is so hard. I always say that I would create for free. And honestly, I would if money didn't exist, but I have to eat, right? And I had to be like, you know what, Alicia, just because you put a number on this art, just because you put a price on this does not mean that it's not pure anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. It's not pure. It's not a kind offering to the world. Like, no, you offer good things to the world and the world deserves to pay you for those things. You deserve to be paid for your things. You deserve to be supported. You deserve to have goodness come into your own life. Like, I can't keep creating responsibly without being paid. I can't do it. Like, that would be harming myself. Not because I wouldn't create if I didn't get paid, but because I have to eat. And if people are enjoying my art, then why is it so hard to believe that I deserve goodness? If people are enjoying what I create, my life's work, every song I sing is my life's work, is my ancestral work, right? If I'm sharing that freely and willingly, if I'm sharing my thoughts, why don't I deserve to be paid for that? As a thank you. That was hard. Accepting money was hard for me. And then it's like, how do I price my stuff? Like, what is it worth? Like, am I asking for too much? Am I overpricing? Like, oh, are they going to see this price and be like, girl, how dare you? Then I underprice myself. And that wasn't fun. I'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that on a different episode. But yes, when I create, I am not asking for permission. I am taking up space and asking to be witnessed by those who would witness me. That's it. I'm not asking for permission. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. Yikes. If somebody doesn't like my song, they don't have to like it. And I can still keep creating. The song wasn't for them. It's okay. I don't want to simply make money. I want to make art. I want to get paid well for that art. I want to live and give, and I want to create more art. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with simply making art, getting paid for that art, giving and living and creating more art? What is revolutionary about wanting to be financially supported for what I contribute to society and to the world? Artists create experiences for others they can't create with money. Artists create experiences for others that they could not create or buy themselves. Oh, I thought that was an animal. Artists create experiences, right? The memories of a new love, nostalgia, joy, peace, a quick escape. That feeling you get when it feels like someone wrote that song, that book, just for you. Printed that piece just for you. How do you bottle up the feeling that playlists make you feel? It's invaluable. You pay $10 for an album. Just think about how amazing this is. You pay $10 for an album you can listen to for the rest of your days and keep experiencing that forever. Why don't you deserve to be supported for your art? People will be able to listen to, look at, experience, witness, bathe in, use your art for as long as your art is able to be used. Right? For my music, as long as we have streaming platforms, as long as people have headphones and phones, people can listen to my music till the end of their days. And if I want to put it on wax, that too, right? There's nothing wrong with you being supported. $10 for that experience, that's amazing. I love buying music, by the way. It's one of my favorite things to buy. The world wants artists to be ashamed of themselves. They want us meek and apologetic. They know how powerful art is. They've convinced us that art is extra. Art is life and death for some. I've had songs literally save my life. Money does not equal value. The cost or pay of something represents what the country values, i.e. death, destruction, weaponry, big corporations, enslavers, CEOs, etc. I put enslavers / CEOs. Same thing. Don't let this country, some of them are the same thing, not all of them, but some of them, most of them. Don't let this country have you believing you have no value. They just don't value creation, honest expression, feeling beyond rage and pride. You are not the problem. You were never the problem. Artists don't make money because corporations steal from their artists. We got to stop siding with big corporations. Artists aren't poor. They're making artists poor. But we feel the shame of choosing a feel the shame of choosing a destiny that has been historically exploited. We defend the evils when we do that. What's revolutionary about saying that I'd like to be what is revolutionary about saying that I'd like to be happy and fulfilled in this life, not in the great by and by, this life? Why don't I get to opt out of professions that kill me slowly? Why don't I get to dedicate my working hours to what I actually care about, what makes me and others well? What is revolutionary about the idea that everyone deserves to do the work that leaves them feeling fulfilled, like a doctor or a gardener or a farmer or a teacher or an artist, while also making a respectable living? Since we mostly live in a capitalistic society, since we must live in a capitalistic society, what's wrong with me wanting to be paid for what I bring to the society? People think that I think I'm special, and I do. But everyone should be able to feel that way without infringing on other people's freedoms. My dream is to see everyone free. My My being free stops no one from being free. Why does the CEO of Spotify get to be free when the artists that make him wealthy are not? The CEO creates nothing, yet benefits the most. Some people feel, why don't you get to do that and not me? I want that for you too. Your circumstances may be different than mine, but do not compare yourself to me. We do not get free by putting others down. We get free by following those into our own freedom. It's also following yourself. You know the way. I honestly don't know what we're doing. We have a life to live and art to create. I want to make art. I'm an artist. Sadly, that is revolutionary. So those are my thoughts. I don't know what else to say. I think I said it all. But yeah, like, I don't want a job. Hard stop. I don't want a 9-to-5. Hard stop. And even as I say that, there's so much shame. There's so much shame. I feel like, well, you gotta, and you also have to add in, well, I will take a job. No, I don't want a 9-to-5 job. That is not my desire. My desire is to create art. And that is not surprising. I'm an artist. You know that I'm an artist. Why is it triggering for artists who say they don't want a 9-to-5 job? 9-to-5 jobs are new, by the way. They're new. It wasn't always. But we have always had artists. And artists have always helped us to see ourselves better and one another better. They make our lives better. Why would we not? Like, it don't make no sense. It actually makes a lot of sense when you consider the country that we live in. But, yeah, if you're an artist that doesn't want to work a 9-to-5 job, same. And my hope for you is that you don't have to. My hope for you is that you can figure out a way, or somebody can help you find a way to make art full time, because that's what makes you happy. That's what makes you feel fulfilled. I know how it feels to work a drudgerous job where nothing you do feels impactful. You might have those, like, I remember serving in a restaurant, and the interactions I had with the customers made me happy, but it didn't fulfill me, because that's where I was for that moment. But I really wanted to be creating. I really wanted to be making, and you should be able to do that. And I'm sorry that we live in a world that doesn't allow you to do that right now. But you have to allow yourself. You got to steal time away when you can. You got to write on that receipt paper. You got to do it in your car. Whatever, like, create art in the way that you can. And I know that it's frustrating, and honor your feelings of frustration of wanting to be somewhere else that you are not. But also honor that you are creative right now. You are here right now. You're still worthy. You're still an artist right now. You're still... The art you create, even in the stolen moments, is still beautiful and impactful. But my hope for you is that my hope for all artists is that we can get to a point in society where we are not looked at as delusional or irresponsible for doing what is in our soul to do. Ooh. Hope that was a fly. But yeah, for just doing what's in our soul to do. I just long for that day where we're able to just be. Everybody has certain things about them that I feel like need to be expressed and explored and fully matured. Again, there's so many gifts, so much medicine, so much magic we won't experience in this life because of capitalism. Because capitalism says who can and who can't create art. If you're not rich, you haven't earned the right to create art, which means that all the art feels numb and empty, that is mainstream, because it's not real. It's not authentic. They don't want real and authentic. And I want to offer to you that maybe that art that you write on that receipt paper, maybe that could be the revolutionary art. Maybe you can write a whole book of receipt paper poems I wrote at work. Like, there's still beauty where you are. And I'm sorry that you're somewhere that sucks. I'm sorry. It's both, right? And I am sorry. Because I remember, and I know what that feels like. And like I said, if it comes to it, I'm not above getting another job, but I'm trying my best to stay the course, and to figure out a way for us to be free. And that starts with my own liberation. And I hope that you're working on yours as well. But until next episode, y'all, I will talk to you again soon. I'm going to keep walking and enjoying the nature. Shout out to the geese. I don't know if y'all can hear them. Anyway, but I'm going to go now. Keep creating, please. Please keep creating. Please keep sharing. We want to see it. We want to experience it. And the people who, like, just, I think about this idea, like, writing poetry at work. The people who are at work who want to write poetry want to read your poetry too. They want to know that there's somebody who gets it. They want to know that, like, there's a waitress somewhere writing a novel and she's frustrated because she can't write the novel that she wants to write during the time that she wants to write it. You know, like, be honest about those experiences. Those are beautiful too. Art doesn't have to be perfect. Art doesn't have to be happy. Art doesn't have to be inspirational. Art just has to be, you know? Art just has to be it. And I think art should be real. Beyond that, people are very forgiving of art that might not be aesthetically pleasing, as long as it's honest. People really appreciate honesty. And that's a word for myself. I needed to hear that. So thank you, Spirit. But until next episode, y'all, keep creating, keep making, because what you make matters. It matters. It matters so much. It matters a lot. Okay? So I'm going to go, but I love you. Keep making. I'll talk to you all in the next one. All right. Bye.